and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked. Chapter 15 of The Murder in Its Afterlife. There was a day in the first gusts of autumn that the banners and standards of the camp below were shifted and bugles blew tinnily up the slopes of the castle. By this the Wish guessed that the troop had arrived in Red Windmill and they were being given a royal welcome. They come so far, they won't wait now, she said. Go, Killjoy, go find them and show them the quickest way here. She loosed the senior dog, and so strong were the extortions that the entire pack of his kin went racing along with him, howling with joy and frantic to their duty. Nanny, cried the witch, put on a clean petticoat and change your apron. We'll have company by nightfall. But the dogs didn't come back all afternoon into the gloaming, and the witch could see why. With a telescopic eye and a cylindrical casing invented by the witch along the lines of Dr. Dillman's discovery about opposing lenses, she followed a shock of carnage. Dorothy and the lion had trembled and the scarecrow beyond, while the Tin Man struck the heads of her beasts one after the other with his axe. Killjoy and his wolfy relations lay scattered like the dead soldiers in a field of retreat. The witch danced with rage and summoned Lear. Your dog is dead! Look what they did, she cried. Look and make sure that I didn't only imagine it. Well, I didn't like the dog very much anymore, said Lear. He had a good long life anyway. He concurred tremblingly, but then trained the glass on the slope again. You fool! That Dorothy is not for messing with, she cried, slapping the instrument out of his hand. You're awfully on edge for someone who's about to have company, he said sullenly. They're supposed to be coming to kill me, if you remember, she said, although she had forgotten that, as she had forgotten her desire for the shoes until she saw them again in the glass. The wizard had not demanded them of Dorothy. Why not? What fresh campaign of intrigue was this? She wheeled about her room, whipping pages of the grimoire back and forth. She recited a spell, did it wrong, did it again, and then turned and tried to apply it to the crows. Though the original 3 crows had fallen since stiffly from the top of the doorframe, there were plenty of others in residence still rather inbred and silly, but suggestible in a stupid mob-like way. Go, she said. Look at your eyes more closely than I can. Pull the mask off the scarecrow so we know who he is. Get them for me. Peck out the eyes of Dorothy and the lion. The 3 of you go on ahead to the old Princess Nestoria out here in the 1,000-year grasslands, for the time is coming when we will be reunited. All of us, with the help of the grimoire, the wizard may topple at last. I never know what you're talking about anymore, said Lear. You can't blind them. Oh, watch me, snarled the witch. The crows blew away in a black cloud and dropped like a butt shot through the sky down the jagged precipices until they came to the travelers. A pretty sunset is there, said Nanny, coming to the witch's room in one of her rare forays. Chichery is always providing the service. She sent the crows out to blind the guests coming for dinner. What? She's blinding the guests coming for dinner. Well, that's one way to avoid having to dust, I suppose. Will you lunatic shut up? The witch was twitching as if in nervous disorder. Her elbows flipped as if she were a crow herself. She gave out a long howl when she found them in the glass. Well, let me see, said Lear, grabbing the thing. He explained to Nanny because the witch was almost beyond speech by now. Well, I guess the scarecrow knows how to scare crows all right. Well, why? What's he done? They're not coming back, that's all I'll say, said Lear, glancing at the witch. It could still be him, she said at last, breathing heavily. You might get your wish, Lear. My wish? He didn't remember asking for a father, and she didn't bother to remember him. Nothing had suggested to her that the scarecrow wasn't a man in disguise. She would not need forgiveness if Fiyero had not died. The light was falling, and the odd band of friends was making good timing up the hill. They had come without an escort of soldiers, perhaps because the soldiers really believe that Kiyomiko was run by a wicked witch. Come on, bees, said the witch. Work with me now. All together, they're on this one, honeys. We need a little sting. We need a little zip. We want a little nasty. Can you give us a little jab? No, not us. Listen when I talk to you, you simpletons. The girl on the hill below. She's after your queen bee. And when you're through with your job, I'll go down and collect those shoes. What's that old hag blathering about now? Said Nanny to Lear. The bees were alert to the pitch in the witch's voice, and they rose to swarm the window. You watch, I can't look, said the witch. The moon is just a pretty peach rising over the mountains, said Nanny with the telescope in her old cataract eye. Why don't we just put some peach trees instead of all those infernal apples in the back? The bees, Nanny, Lear, take that from her and tell me what happened. Lear gave a blow-by-blow recounting. They're swooping down. They're like a genie or something, all flying in a big clump with a straggly tail. The travelers see them coming. Yes, the scarecrow is taking straw out of his chest and leggings and covering the lion and Dorothy. And there's a little dog, too, so the bees can't get through the straw. The scarecrow is all pieces on the ground. It couldn't be. The witch grabbed her eyepiece. Lear, you're a filthy liar, she shouted. Her heart roared like the wind. But it was true. But there was nothing but straw and air inside the scarecrow's clothes. No hidden lover returning. No last hope of salvation. And the bees, having none left to attack her but the Tin Woodsman, flung themselves against him and dropped in black heaps on the ground like shard windows, their stringers blunted on his fenders. You've ought to give up your guest credit for ingenuity, said Lear. Will you shut up before I tie your tongue in a knot, said the witch. I suppose I should just start down and get some hot hors d'oeuvres going. They'll be peckish after all those old years you're setting on them, said Nanny. Have you an opinion as to cheese and crackers or fresh vegetable with pepper sauce? I say cheese, said Lear. Elphaba, what's your opinion? But she was too busy doing research in the grimoire. It's up to me, as always the case, said Nanny. I have to do all the work. I suppose I'm supposed to be teary with joy at my age. You don't think I could rest my feet for once, but no. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Always the godfather, never the god, said Lear. Will you two please have mercy on me? Now go. Nanny, if you're going. Nanny headed out the door as far as her old limbs could take her. The witch said, Chistery, let her go on her own steam. I need you here. Sure, let me tumble to my death. Be delighted to be of service, said Nanny. It's going to be cheese for that. The witch explained to Chistery what she wanted. This is foolish. It'll all be dark before long, and they'll all be tumbling over some cliff and die. The poor dears, I'd rather not. I mean the Tin Woodman and the Scarecrow. They can tumble all they want and not much being hurt, I imagine. A good tinsmith could repair a battered torso. But bring me Dorothy and Lion. Dorothy has my shoes. I have a rendezvous with the Lion. We're old friends. Can you do this? Chistery squinted, nodding his head and shrugged spat. Well, try. What good are you if you don't try, she said. Off with you and your cronies with you. She turned to Lear. There, are you satisfied? I haven't asked them to be killed. They're going to be escorted as our guests. I'll get the shoes and let them go out of their way. And then I'll walk this grimoire into the mountains and live in a cave. You're old enough to take care of yourself. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Who needs forgiveness now? Well, they're coming to kill you, he said. Yes, and aren't you just breathless with anticipation for that? I'll protect you, he said uneasily, and then added, but not to the extent of harming Dorothy. Go set the table and tell Nanny to forget the cheese and crackers and go with the vegetables. She shook her broom at him. Go, I tell you, when I tell you to go. When she was alone, she sank in a heap. Either phenomenal luck lay with these travelers, or they had enough courage, brains, and heart among them to do quite well. She was taking the wrong approach, clearly. She should welcome the child, explain the situation nicely, and get the damn shoes while she could. With the shoes, with the help of the Princess Nastoya, Maybe there could be a vengeance against the wizard yet. Anyway, the Grimoire would be hidden, one way or the other, and those shoes would be removed outside the wizard's reach. But the shock of death of her familiars made her blood run cold inside her. She could feel her thoughts and intentions tumbling over and over one another. And she really wasn't sure what she would do when face to face with Dorothy. That's the end of that chapter.